Macronutrients. The essential macronutrients required for maintaining the fertility of the soil and to provide for the growth of plants are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur, calcium, magnesium, potassium. The atmosphere and water are the sources of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Nitrogen may be obtained by some plants directly from the atmosphere through nitrogen fixing bacteria. Nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium are usually added to the soil as fertilizers. Magnesium is made available to plants through ion exchange of organic matter or clays, uh, through which it holds magnesium strongly. Let us study the nutrient functions of these macronutrients one by one. Nitrogen. The nitrogen content in soil is mostly of organic nature. That is, 90% of the nitrogen content present in soil is of organic nature. And it results from the decay of dead plants, which is also known as biomass, and animals and plant residues, excreta of animals, etc. Nitrogen fixing bacteria, for example, rhizobium, converts atmospheric nitrogen to organic form that can be used by plants. When nitrogen is applied to soils as ammonium ion in the form of fertilizers, nitrifying bacteria converts it into nitrate for use by plants. Certain leguminous plants, for example, alfalfa, clover, soya bean, groundnuts, pulses, guar, etc., they exhibit the unique ability to fix atmospheric nitrogen through nitrogen fixing bacteria on their nodules. Legumes can add considerable quantities of nitrogen to soil. The functions of nitrogen is it is not only an essential constituent of protein and chlorophyll, but it is also involved in photosynthesis, respiration, and protein synthesis. Nitrogen is hydrolyzed to ammonium ion, which can be oxidized to nitrate by natural process in soil. Nitrogen bound to humus is responsible for maintaining the fertility of the soil. Nitrogen promotes vegetative growth and improves the quality of food crops. Nitrogen increases the tillering of cereal crops and plumpness of grains in cereals. However, excessive supply of nitrogen also causes adverse effects, which includes delay in the ripening by encouraging vegetative growth. Excess nitrogen also deteriorates the quality of crops such as barley, sugarcane, and potato. Presence of excess nitrogen turns leaves into a dark green color and they become thick, leathery, and wrinkled. Plants' resistance against diseases decreases. The straw and grain ratio is increased and the straw becomes weak. Deficiency of nitrogen leads to the plants becoming yellowish in color and premature dropping of leaves. Ripening of fruits becomes earlier if there is deficiency of nitrogen and there is a poor yield of crop. The seeds and kernels of cereals, they become shriveled and contain less protein. Root growth is severely affected in deficiency of nitrogen. Phosphorus. Phosphorus is an essential constituent of several enzymes. It is a structural component of membrane system of cells, the chloroplast and mitochondria, nucleic acids, phospholipids. Liebig was the first scientist who in 1940 first emphasized the need for phosphates. Phosphorus stimulates root and plant growth and it increases the maturity of the soil. At the soil pH, phosphate, that's in the form of H2PO4 minus and HPO4 2 minus, are the species, that is phosphate species, which are utilized by plants. In acidic soils, the orthophosphate ions are either precipitated or they are sorbed by aluminum and ferric ions. In alkaline soils, the reaction which occurs with calcium carbonate where hydroxyapatite is precipitated, that is orthophosphate ions reacts with calcium carbonate in presence of water and forms hydroxyapatite. Thus, very little phosphorus is added as fertilizers gets leached from the soil. Now, functions of phosphorus are: it increases the number of tiller in cereal crops and the ratio of grain to straw. It influences cell division and stimulates flowering, fruit setting, and formation in crops. It induces nodule formation in leguminous plants. Phosphorus also develops resistance to certain diseases in plants. However, its excessive presence has some harmful effects, such as profuse root growth in case of lateral and fibrous rootlets. Also, it causes iron and zinc deficiency in certain cases. Deficiency of phosphorus leads to restricted shoot and root growth, and plants become spindly in nature. Shedding of leaves takes place, flowering and fruiting is delayed in plants. The growth of the plant is stunted even when there is an abundant supply of nitrogen and potassium, but there is a deficiency of phosphorus. In potatoes, potato tubers show rusty brown lesions.